Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life.
Hey guys, this episode was prompted by something I recently went through. I am generally someone who, I don't really have panic attacks, but this last week I finally started to recognize that these heart palpitations I was having, which didn't feel like good stress, it felt like, oh my gosh, I am totally overwhelmed. What is this? I think it could turn into a full-blown panic attack. And I need to really sit with myself and figure out what's happening, what's going on with me. So as I was kind of analyzing what happened after the fact, and you guys, I had this feeling it had been at least a week, you guys. That's a long time to have true heart palpitations to the point where you're kind of like, what is going on with me? What's happening? And just so you guys know, I am super healthy and I got through it and I recognized that I was stressed out. And I couldn't tell if I was just truly overwhelmed or if I was on the verge of a panic attack. So this is in no way medical advice. It's not, it's just, I just wanted to take a second and acknowledge that a lot of us have lots of undue stress going on in our lives, right? We all have struggles happening. And if we are paying attention to our bodies, paying attention to what we're feeling, seeing, hearing, doing, that we could maybe really sit with whatever's happening and kind of figure out what's going on. And what it did was I had started writing, what is happening with me? Why am I so stressed out? And I came up with these 3 questions I asked myself in this moment to determine what was really happening. And so I thought I would share this with you guys. It's pretty personal, a little bit vulnerable, but I know I'm not the only one out there who gets bogged down in her work or gets bogged down with the struggles going on with her children or is feeling uninspired or I have no idea what's happening in your life, but I just want to tell you that I'm here for you. I'm here with you because if you haven't figured out on this podcast yet, my life is not perfect by any means. And I feel like I am here to be your coach and your cheerleader while you are going through tough times. And if anything in this podcast just helps you a little bit, that's what I'm here for. I'm just grateful to be a part of your life for it. So let me tell you some things that have gone on. My company, my little business has been growing. And we've been hiring new team members, okay? And I had hired our 4th team member, okay? So we're not very, very big, but just big enough, when someone has been like me for years and years and years, just doing it by herself, happy to be just a designer, doing all the things that I love to do, but then to suddenly start scaling, okay, that's scary in and of itself, right? So I just hired our 4th person. I had some things happen in the last design boot camp that made me rethink things like our enrollment process. I really wanted to make sure our members were happy. You guys, I am a people pleaser and I'm always trying to buck that a little bit, but it's hard. And I just want anyone who works with me, I always want them to have an amazing experience. I want them to know they're heard, they're loved, and I just enjoy them, and that they are getting as much value from me as I can give. I really want to have that service, and I want to give that service. And so, but that's really hard when you're trying to do that with a lot of people, right? And so I've been thinking about it, trying to figure out the best ways to do it. And I was under the gun for some other deadlines. In particular, you guys, my fabric line needed to be done by October 1st. And so I was feeling all the stress because I knew I didn't have time to work on it. I had all these other things lined up that needed to be taken care of, and I was trying to fit it in with all the other things I had going on. So that just gives you a little bit of background before all of this kind of started. So I first started noticing the palpitations like on a Thursday of last week. I started feeling it, and I just thought, okay, I'm a little overwhelmed. It's going to be okay. Oh, I will tell you guys the thing that set it off. The thing that set it off was my external drive. I have so much data. If you're a designer, you understand this. So much data. I have over 12,000 products. Like I have so much data. And I have a 5 terabyte drive, and some little virus must have gotten on it because it deleted only one folder. Like it just disappeared. And I was running all this recovery software on it, and I had backup, so I didn't lose that much, but I lost future things I hadn't posted yet. And it was about 2 months worth. And so in the scheme of things, not that big of a deal considering I've been designing for 15 years. But that kind of is the thing that like, I had this full week, I had the next week planned, and it's like the thing that set it off. Do you know what I mean? Have you guys ever had that? You have like the thing that sets it off, okay? So I'm right there with you if you've had that, all right? It's like the trigger point. So here are the 3 questions I asked myself as the week was going on, and kind of as I came to a close of that week, and I knew that like a lot of these deadlines were gonna go away, and then I had done my best, okay? So if you are in maybe not a panic attack, because I wasn't there really yet. I knew that I was feeling a certain amount of stress, and I was like, I do not want this stress to continue. I don't want to feel this way, because you guys, I'm sure you've heard of it. People can get addicted to that feeling, right? Like they're always in survival mode. They're always like trying to do the thing. Like I was like, I do not want to be there. I don't want to be addicted to this. Like this has gone on for a few days. How do I get rid of it? Okay. And it did last 7 days, maybe 8 days, where I was doing things to calm myself, to soothe myself so that I could get out of that place. Okay. But here are 3 of the questions that I kind of asked myself, and I determined whether I could change what I was doing to help myself feel better, to have a breather, to start the heart palpitations, to really like be able to like just relax, okay? So the first question I said to myself was, are you getting enough rest, Carina? And that is a hard question, you guys, for me, because sleep and rest are really 2 different things, right? I think sleep is a part of it. Like I did say to myself, are you getting enough sleep as well? And for me, like I am someone, you guys, I wish I was not this person. I need 8 hours of sleep. I have to. And I recognize that for 3 of the nights, I was getting closer to 6 hours and 30 minutes to 7 hours. Okay, that's not even that much less sleep. But I knew that in order to behave like the rock star person that's running my company, designing all the time, has high energy and loves what she's doing, like I need 8 hours. That's just, I know that's for me. Now for you, it might be totally different, okay? Maybe you need a lot less, maybe you need a lot more, but like recognizing how much sleep you need, I think is really important. And then next to that, recognizing how much rest you need is important, okay? We had a lot of, like we had a dinner date with a couple that we love and I wanted to see so much. We had a dinner party. And so I recognized that me as an introvert, I hadn't really been taking the rest I need for my personality, okay? So that's something else you really have to pay attention to. If you're a personality that's an extrovert and you need that social time, you need to be with people, and that's how you're getting your energy, then that's how you're doing it. If you're like me and you're more of actually an introvert, I love being with people. I love being social. I love going to dinner parties. Like seriously, living my best life. But if I don't get a small amount of time that is, usually I spend it designing. I know, like you guys, seriously, like design is my life. If I haven't had that second to like, just like make, to just be creative just for myself and really get to sit in that and just love in that moment. If I don't get that time during the week, it is really difficult for me. That's my rest. Either that or snuggling my kids and reading to them, or my 14-year-old's at an age where she just wants to talk. Like, she just wants to hang out and talk. And we very often, when it's warm enough, we are hanging out in the hammocks in the backyard, and she's just talking to me about life. And those are the moments, like, I need those things because that feels like rest to me, okay? So I don't know what your rest looks like, but do your best to identify what kind of sleep you need and how much rest you need. And I was like, during this process, I was recognizing that I was getting a little bit less sleep than I normally get, and I was definitely not getting the rest that I needed, okay? My rest needs are different than yours though, okay, right? So then the second question I asked myself, so then I was like, okay, so like, how do I make all these heart palpitations and how do I feel less stressed out? And I was like, clearly I need to add some of this rest time. I need to block it off in my schedule. And the second thing is I need to get that extra hour of sleep because I need it. Okay. So then the second question I asked myself is, what is really going on here? Okay. If you've ever been to therapy, you'll know that there are like emotions that mask other emotions. Like, so for example, like anger very much actually is masking sadness. So like if you're angry about something, you're producing kind of like a powerful emotional response, but like underneath of it, the reason you're so angry is because there's all this sadness looming underneath. Okay. So in situations in life, like if you like your kids are losing at you, if whatever, whatever's happening to you, I've done this very often with my kids. They're like so angry or sad about something that happened at school. And I have to always ask myself the question, what is really going on here? Like, what's really happening? And once you start breaking things down with the other individual or even yourself, which is what I was doing here, you start to see that like the thing that's on the surface that you think is the big struggle, it's actually not that. It's always something underneath. It's always something underneath. And so for me, the trigger was, I told you guys, my external drive had messed up. I had lost all these files, okay? And it had caused, like, that was the trigger, and it was causing all these heart palpitations. And part of it was because I am so married to the way I'm organized and I do all the things. I had to stop everything. I had bought another external drive actually a couple of days previous and was planning on moving everything. So I started that process, and I started the process of moving everything into Dropbox for my team. So suddenly I felt stilted. I felt like I couldn't move forward. I needed to spend all this time on my computer, making sure all the files were moved over, making sure everyone on the team had stuff, and then making sure I had backups of everything. Because that had been my saving grace a little bit for all this stuff that happened. Because even though I had lost some things, I had most of it. Because it had all been sitting on every drive, because I switch out my drive once a year. In fact, this drive had been called my 2021 drive. I just pulled out my 2020 drive. So what I lost were my SVGs from January until September. So that's what I had lost, okay? And it really wasn't that big of a deal because most of those had been submitted. And so I'm going to have to go get a bunch of stuff, okay? It's not going to be that big of a deal. But it broke up my rhythm. It messed everything up for me. And sometimes when we have a break in rhythm like that, it feels chaotic and you don't feel in control. And so that's what I was recognizing was going on with me, is that it felt like there was this high level of chaos and I was not in control, okay? No one likes to not feel like they're in control, really and truly. The other thing is, it felt like I was spending all this time trying to do recovery software that did not work, that I could not make happen. And I kind of thought, oh my gosh, here I am, like trying to do all the things, and I'm wasting so much time that I should be spending with my family. I'm wasting so much time, like struggling through all this stuff. And so that's really what the cause, like that trigger caused, right? It wasn't that I lost the actual files. Yeah, that was a bummer, okay? It was like this feeling of being thrown into chaos. That was the thing. And maybe if I was digging really deep, I would maybe dig into some kind of childhood thing where not feeling like being in control
had ruined my life, right? You don't have to go that deep. And actually, I didn't either, because just recognizing that it was really the chaotic feeling I felt and being disorganized, that was the thing that really was bothering me. That was the thing that was causing me stress, because I just have a lot of things going on and I needed to make sure that everything was organized for my team and myself, okay? So that was my question. What is really going on here? The third question I had was, am I in flight or fight mode? You guys have heard this before. Generally, we are someone who either fights or runs away from the problem, okay? And I'm kind of a fighter. So I was fighting my way through the week. I was just fighting my way. I was like, I am going to get to all my meetings. I am going to get this and this done. I am going to finish my deadlines, okay? So I was in fighter mode, which is a survivalist mode. And because I was in that mode, it was causing even more heart palpitations, because it was like my body was saying, we're fighting, okay? So if you're someone who's a flight person, you become stilted, right? Like you might not even care about anything, because you're just like, I can't care, because if I care, then I'll be so stressed out, I can't handle it, right? So kind of recognize if you're a fighter or a flighter. Those were the three questions I asked myself. Am I getting the sleep/rest that I need? What is really going on here? And the third is, am I in fight or flight? Okay. Now, these seem like really obvious questions. They did to me anyway. Seem like obvious questions, but when I sat and actually analyzed what was happening, you know what happened, you guys? My heart started to calm down. It's like almost the recognition of what is going on, like made me kind of feel like, okay, this is going to be okay, Carina. It's going to be all right, okay? And then from there, I kind of said to myself, what really has to happen? Which deadlines matter and which do not, okay? I had promised all these files to one of my team members. I couldn't get it to him. I took a step back from that. I moved it to a different date, and it was fine. Generally, it's always going to be fine. It's just really hard in the moment to sit and think, what really has to happen? And I am happy to say that I'm feeling a lot better. I think had I kept in that route, because I generally think that before, especially when you're really, really to the point of overwhelm, there is like some lead ups, like things that, and then a trigger point, right? And then there are things that happen. So it's just like, what can you do to stop all of that? Okay. Like kind of take a step back and breathe a little bit. I will say I spent some time breathing, you guys, like not true meditation, because I don't know that I'm a great meditation girl. It's like one of those things I aspire to, but I don't do. Instead, I journal, and will spend some time writing out what is going on with me so that I can like process it. And I breathe. I will just stop and I will just breathe. When's the last time you just stopped and took some deep breaths? So that's what happened with me. If you can relate, feel free to come tell me so on Instagram, since this is my only thing about podcasts. I can't like talk to you directly. And I want you to know that everything is going to be okay. There are lots of hard things we've all been through. I speak from experience, and it's going to be okay. Is it going to be the same? Maybe not. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. But it's going to be okay. All right, guys. I hope that I did an episode like this in the hopes that it helps some of you. If you're having a rough go, know that you are not alone, and go seek some help if it's elevated. But if it's not elevated, ask yourself these 3 questions and take some deep breaths, because it's going to be okay. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.